Come over here quick. Jackson just called me out of the blue and said he threw Mom out of the house. He wants me to deal with her now, I explained, feeling confused and surprised. What? That's awful. He really kicked Mom out. Come and see for yourself, Jackson urged. Oh, when I let her take Dad's memorial tablet. Why would he be so mean? Now that there's no money left from Dad's stuff, he doesn't want Mom around anymore. He sees her as a problem. I couldn't believe it. It turns out Dad had debts, and after paying them off, there wasn't any money left for us. I had no idea about this, and to make things worse, Jackson and his wife had been living in our family home all this time. It felt incredibly unfair. It's getting dark soon. If you don't come to pick her up, Mom will be sleeping on the streets. How could you be so cruel? I will never forgive you for this, Jackson, I said, feeling upset. I don't need your forgiveness. That's just too harsh, Jackson replied, hanging up without listening to me. He didn't answer any of my subsequent calls. When I finally got through to Mom, she confirmed everything Jackson had said. Angry at him and worried for Mom, I had no choice but to drive over to where she was. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lily, I'm 27 years old, and I'm in a hurry. 3 years ago, I married Mason, who's also 27, and we've been living together since. At first, we lived with my parents in our family home, but 2 years ago, my brother Jackson and his wife suddenly moved in. They claimed the house was too crowded with us there, so we had to leave. Jackson, who's 8 years older than me, has always been selfish, but his marriage seems to have made him even worse. Our family home, where I grew up, is a big house with a lot of space and land. It's been passed down from my grandfather. There's no reason we can't all live comfortably together. I wasn't happy about the situation and tried to talk to Jackson about it, but my husband, who doesn't like arguing, convinced us to leave. Around that time, my dad got sick with liver cirrhosis, and it was already pretty bad. I wanted to be there for him in his last days, but I couldn't. His illness got worse quickly, and he passed away a month ago. It's really hard not knowing that my mom must be feeling even worse than me, dealing with my brother treating us this way right after losing Dad. It's just sad. An hour later, when we got to our family home, Mom was sitting sadly on a suitcase in the garden. The front door was locked. Jackson had taken her keys. I used my keys to unlock the door and went inside with Mom. Jackson and Olivia were lounging on the sofa, watching TV like nothing was wrong. What's going on? How did you get in? Jackson asked, acting like he didn't know what was going on. I used my key to open the front door. Isn't it obvious? I replied, feeling frustrated. It slipped my mind. Leave your key, take the old lady, and go. This isn't funny. How can you be watching TV after kicking your own mother out of the house? Besides, if the house remained even after Dad's debts were paid off, Mom has a right to live here. I shot back, getting more and more angry at Jackson's attitude. I stood in front of the TV. Mom has a right to inherit this house. If you can't live with her, you should be the one to leave, Jackson, I said firmly. Shut up. This house is mine. Dad gave it to me when he was alive. Don't act smart without knowing anything, Jackson retorted defensively. What do you mean? There's no way Dad gave this house to you, Jackson, before he died, Mom interrupted, looking confused and shaking her head. Seeing our confusion, Jackson smirked and stood up from the sofa, pulling out an envelope from a room in the back. Look at this. What's this? It's proof that I inherited this house, Jackson declared proudly. The envelope contained documents proving his inheritance, prepared by a legal writer, and his real estate ownership certificate. He explained that the property had been transferred to his name a month before Dad passed away. Mom and I were stunned as we examined the documents. Why would Dad do something like this? I sighed, gazing at his picture. Why would Dad hand over the house to Jackson without talking to Mom about it? Because I'm his favorite, obviously. I convinced him that Mom would get the house after he passed away, so he gave it to me while he was still alive, Jackson bragged. That can't be. I refused to believe it. Wake up and see the truth, Mom argued. No matter how many times we looked at the document, the property was indeed in Jackson's name. All this fuss over a house, my mom muttered in disbelief. Is there nothing else left for Mom? No other inheritance? Be grateful that the debts are paid off. This can't be happening. You're not just worried about Mom. You realize there's no inheritance for you either, right? Jackson sneered. The bank card he handed over had only a few dollars on it. I wasn't expecting Dad's inheritance, But it was a shock to find out he left me nothing. This is too harsh, I thought. To make things worse, Olivia was laughing at us, enjoying our misery. Just leave. You poor people don't belong here, she mocked. Jackson and Olivia pushed us out of the house forcefully. Ouch, that hurts. Mom cried out as she fell and scraped her hand. Blood started to trickle out, so I quickly wrapped it with my handkerchief. Tears of frustration rolled down my cheeks. Seeing me upset, my mom gently wiped away my tears. Her eyes were filled with sadness too. Mom, our place is small, but you can stay with us, I offered. But I don't want to bother Mason. I'll find somewhere else to stay, Mom protested. Don't worry, I can't just leave you like this. I'm going to call Mason right now. Just wait, I assured her. Wiping away my tears, I grabbed my cell phone and dialed my husband's number. Mason answered after a few rings. Hello? Mason, I'm sorry to bother you out of the blue. Mom has been kicked out of her house, I explained. As I told him what happened, Mason listened attentively, though he seemed a bit unsure. I held my breath, waiting for his response. Our apartment is pretty small compared to Mom's house. It might not be the most comfortable, Mason started. But I don't mind. Bring your mom over. We've been helped out in tough times too. We should help each other when we can. Thank you so much, Mason, I said gratefully. My husband is such a kind person. He couldn't leave someone in need. We quickly took Mom to our apartment, and from that day on, we lived together. But living with 3 people in our small apartment was tight. We didn't have enough money saved up to buy a house yet, but maybe moving to a slightly bigger place in the future would be a good idea. It was heartbreaking to see Mom squeezed into our small apartment. As my husband and I browsed through property listings on the computer, Mom's phone rang. After a brief conversation, she dropped a bombshell. Why don't we move to my Highlands condominium? She suggested. Hold on, what Highlands condominium? I asked, completely surprised. Mom went on to explain that my wealthy grandfather had been a big spender, leaving my grandmother with no choice but to sell their farmland to keep up. As for Dad, he was also known for spending a lot. And besides the house, we didn't have many assets. Worried about our future, Mom had wisely invested her earnings from before she got married in real estate. My husband and I were floored. It turns out, Mom not only owned a condominium in the Highlands, but also managed an apartment building, earning a significant income from her investments. I can't believe it. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner, Mom apologized. Anyway, the management company just called. There's an opening in the Highlands condominium. We can move in next month. What do you think? She proposed. We couldn't refuse such a generous offer. Plus, the Highlands condominium had 3 bedrooms, a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, all just a 5-minute walk from the station. It was much more comfortable than our current situation. Thank you, Mom, but we might only be able to afford the same rent as we do for the apartment. I expressed my concern. You don't need to worry about that. We have to do things properly, even if we're family, my mom insisted. Oh, I need to let the landlord know we're moving out. Seeing my husband and me smiling with happiness, Mom's face lit up too. Time flew by as we got ready to move into our new home at the Highlands condominium. Before we knew it, 2 months had passed since we settled in. As I was getting ready to go shopping, I was surprised to see the Jackson couple suddenly appear at the entrance of the condominium. Why are you, a poor person, living in the Highlands condominium? Did you come into some money or what? Olivia sneered. Of course not. The Highlands condominium has always belonged to my mom, I replied firmly. Both Jackson and Olivia were shocked. What? They exclaimed together, staring up at the tall building. I couldn't help but laugh at their confused and silly expressions. Jackson's face turned red with anger. That deceitful woman. I can't believe she kept this from us while pretending to be poor. My mom never said she was poor. You just assumed that, Jackson. Plus, she inherited a big house. What's wrong with that? I argued. That's not the point. Don't shout here. It's rude to the other people living here. And how did you know I was here? Jackson demanded. Jackson said that when he couldn't reach Mom, he tracked her down using her phone's location. Olivia explained. Why are you trying to contact Mom now after kicking her out? I bet something mean again, I accused. Regardless, if Mom is here, I want to see her. Let me in now, Jackson demanded. You must be kidding. If you hurt Mom again, I couldn't stand it. If you have something to say, tell me, I insisted. But they kept pushing to see my mom without saying why. The Jackson couple seemed quite flustered. Weren't you two living comfortably in your big family house, just the two of you? I questioned. It's none of your business, Jackson snapped. Fine, if you don't want to tell me, that's okay. I have to go now. Bye, I said, trying to walk past them. But Jackson suddenly grabbed my arm tightly. Ouch, let me go, I protested. Just call Mom. Absolutely not. I'll call the police, I threatened. But Jackson just scoffed at me. There's no way the police would come for a simple family argument. Even if they did, there's no way you could sue me for just grabbing your arm. Feeling defeated, I stayed quiet. Fine, I'll tell my mom, but only if you tell me why you're here, I relented. The utility bills for that house are ridiculous. Just for the AC, the electric bill is $500. This is no joke, Olivia explained. Their old traditional style house had more than 8 rooms, so it was no surprise that utility costs were high. But even so, a $500 electricity bill seemed a little steep. It was a particularly hot summer, so they probably overused the AC. I thought you would have known that from the start. How would we have known? Mom used to pay the bills. Jackson scratched his head frantically as Olivia fumed. There's no way we would have known. Do you know the property tax for that house is $5,000 a year? Olivia exclaimed. What? I can't believe you didn't know. Why would an old house like that cost so much? How are we supposed to pay that? Jackson protested. Our house is old and has a large yard, so it's only natural that it would cost a lot to maintain, I pointed out. I also mentioned a reality to the Jacksons that they might not have realized. And you know, apparently it costs more in taxes to give away property while you're alive than after you pass away, I added. Wait, is that true? Jackson asked, stunned. I didn't know before, but now I know. My mom told me all this, I said, watching as the Jacksons looked really surprised. Olivia got mad and blamed them, saying, it's your fault for not doing your homework. Then they started arguing right in front of me. Jackson said, we worked hard to get Dad to change the name on the house, and now this is too much. I can't believe Dad did something sneaky like this. He even said it would be better to give it to me than to Mom. That's not fair. I realized, feeling shocked by my dad's actions. Taking advantage of the situation, Jackson said something surprising. You can have the house. Let's trade it for this Highlands condominium. Confused, I responded, what are you saying? The house isn't mine. It belongs to Mom. Please talk to Mom for me, I beg you. I'll just pass on your message, nothing more. What on earth are you even talking about? Jackson snapped, feeling foolish for even talking to them. I gave up on shopping and started walking back into the Highlands condominium through the entrance. But the Jacksons tried to follow me, which surprised me. I'll sue you for trespassing, I warned them. You just said that wouldn't be a legal problem, Olivia shot back. It seems like they won't understand until they face a real consequence, I sighed in frustration. I called out to the management office next to the entrance. Excuse me, could you please call security? Someone who doesn't live here is trying to get in. Wait a moment, the security guard, who was always on duty at the Highlands condominium, rushed over immediately. With the big security guard standing in front of them, the Jacksons looked startled. Once again, I warned them to avoid a repeat of the situation in the future. I didn't call the police just now because you only grabbed my arm. But if you try to use force or come back to the Highlands condominium, I will really call the police, understand? Don't make us do that. If I see you again, I'll report it, so go back to your mansion from Dad. Got it? I told them firmly. Looking scared of the police, the Jacksons quickly backed off. I returned to my apartment and told my mom about what happened with the Jacksons. But why did Dad let Jackson inherit the house? I asked, feeling sad. My mom smiled. Dad must have had a reason when he let Jackson inherit the house. He didn't want to trouble me or you, Lily. Even though Dad wasn't very interested in money, he cared a lot about me. Remember, he always said he loved you, Lily, so much, she added. Really? I was so happy to hear that my dad cared about me so much. When my mom heard about the house from Jackson, she muttered, "Is he going this far?" Because she realized he had given Jackson a serious punishment, even though Jackson was always selfish. You knew how Dad felt, Mom? I asked, surprised. Of course, dear. We've been together for 38 years. I know what he's thinking without him saying a word. Besides, Jackson never took care of Dad when he was sick. my mom explained. I misunderstood, Dad. I feel terrible. I want to apologize, I admitted. Don't worry, Lily. Your feelings are reaching Dad in heaven. The ones who should worry are the Jacksons, who these days would buy a big, high-maintenance house like that. I bet they'll struggle to find a buyer, my mom said with a smirk. After a while, it became clear that my mom was right. The Jacksons couldn't handle the house on their own and put it up for sale, but couldn't find anyone to buy it. They kept living there even a year later. Amidst all this, Olivia accidentally started a grease fire while cooking chicken in the house. It quickly burned down, and since they didn't have money for fire insurance, their life was going to get even tougher. Well, while I understand their problem, it's not my concern, I thought, feeling thankful for my life in the Highlands condominium. Living in the Highlands condominium was amazing, and I could only feel grateful to my mom. I've been paying her rent every month, but it seems she's been saving it to make sure we won't struggle in the future. Every day is peaceful and happy as I live with my wonderful mother and caring husband. Visiting my father's grave, I promised him that I would always repay my mother's kindness.